Good morning, all. I, Deepika Arora, BAS faculty, on behalf of the Principal, Dr. Shrikant Sawant, CEO, Dr. Mala Kharkar, Chief Coordinator, Ruchita Madam, and the management, welcome all the faculties, students of various departments in the intra-collegiate webinar on the topic Virtual Ways for ISR. Before we start with this session, I would like to give a brief introduction about our college. Our college was founded by Chikitsak Samuha, an association of like-minded individuals who were keenly like-minded. Sir Sitaram Patkar, a distinguished judge of Bombay High Court, who was knighted after his retirement, and his wife, Lady Shantabai Patkar. Sir was deeply influenced in furthering the education of women, and he was the Vice Chancellor of SNDT University for many years. The College of Arts and Science started functioning from the academic year 1964-65 and the Commerce section from the academic year 1980-81. To provide career-based education, the college started its degree-level self-financed courses from the academic year 2000-2001. Since then, the college has constantly upgraded the courses offered and the infrastructure required for these courses, provided students with the best possible learning opportunities. In keeping up the spirit of learning and growing through spirit through criticism, we have set up high standards, working continuously towards advanced goals. We have set up high standards, working continuously. Many of our alumni hold a very good position in various fields. Patkarwardi College has a pride of amongst various educational institutions in western suburbs of Mumbai. Autonomy was conferred on college from the academic year 2019-20. As per Education World India, college ranked 45th in all India and 10th in Maharashtra. Now I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Manthan Prakash. Sir is an associate manager HR with L&T Technological Services since many years. He is also responsible for organizational development and effectiveness. Being a part of behavioral training team, his core responsibilities includes behavioral training facilitation, special training operation, matrices and special projects, development for internal training programs, conducting team-based program and activity-based session to cater the business needs. He is also a member of Career Progression Interview Panel. Sir is also involved in corporate social responsibilities by teaching 18 potential leaders in an under-resourced community and is responsible for changing life path of children and thus becoming lifelong leaders to expand opportunities. Sir also provides exposure to students through various activities and interventions, providing computer training, imbibing coding knowledge to make students industry ready. To add to the knowledge, he also conducts workshops and events on good touch, bad touch, menstrual health, etc. Sir, it's an indeed pleasure to have you with us, sir. Now I would like to hand over the session to our speaker of the day, Manthan Prakash, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepika ma'am. And I'm really sorry for the kind of setup what I have today. I'm sitting in a car, so there are a lot of work which is going in our apartment, and even the network issues were there. So I thought this would be the right place. And whichever is the place, virtual means wherever we can sit and we can conduct the session, right? So without further waiting, we'll quickly start. I'm so happy that all of you have joined at this early hour for a session like this, and it is not face to face, right? So it is virtually real. It is not real, correct? So the session today is about virtual ways to ISR. So before we get into that, I would like to talk about a lot of relevant aspects today first, and then get into the real core of or the crux of the matter there, right? So by looking at this picture in the first slide, so what do you think? I'm sure it is very difficult, right? So we are not able to interact. You just take a moment, look at the picture, and think about how the days are. This I'm very sure this is true for all of you also. The corona came into being, and once the corona started, the lockdown also started. Once the lockdown started, the movements were completely stopped, right? So when the movements are not there, we still wanted to be connected, and thanks to all the mobile networking companies, we are able to really connect with each other, though we are maintaining safe distance between each other. However, all in all, whatever we have been doing, that shouldn't stop. So that was the motto for all of us, particularly the education department or the educational institutions. But the best example could be your own college, wherein a lot of activities, it is not just concentrating on the academics or sports, it is also thinking about the social responsibility side of it. And even in this crisis, the college and the students and the management, the faculty members, everybody wants to still contribute something so that it is going to be good for the entire society or the country at large, right? So quickly moving on, we all know that what is ISR. However, we are going to explore why ISR, right? So because you're all starting your career and you're all students now, so it is a must for you to know what is that you can make a difference in the entire world, right? So what is ISR? So I'll just define, or and I'll just start sharing about my experiences when it comes to ISR, right? So the individual social responsibility. So when I was in the college, there was only one concept, right? So we had NSS, and we had any kind of volunteering, and of course we had heard about the corporate social responsibility. However, nothing was seen in the real life for us. At least in our place, we haven't seen any kind of CSR which was happening by any of the corporates. So we just heard, and because we just heard, we were not really able to imagine or visualize what such activities could be, right? However, the words have changed in the last 15 years. You're all in a far better position now, so you can at least ask your god Google, and you'll get all the details. You go to YouTube, you'll get all the relevant videos. Still, you all feel that there is something which we need to learn, and that's where we are all here today. So what is ISR for me, right? So when we talk about the corporate social responsibility, it is like a corporates or the companies which are taking all the responsibility to do something for the society. But is that enough? Now, a simple example is, if I'm talking about my company also, our company also, L&T, as a matter of a fact there. So a lot of activities are done in the social sector. Crores and crores of rupees is spent across India. However, is all the employee part of this initiative? That's a question we may have to think, right? Not everybody is part. Only not even 1% of the entire crowd is getting involved in the social responsibility activities. So that's quite alarming, right? Because the first and foremost reason why ISR or the CSR was started is to address some problem. So it could be the problem in any area. However, there were some problems, and we were to address that. And is the government capable of doing everything? No, the government or the government representatives cannot be there everywhere. So when they cannot be there, so there is a gap. So how do we bridge that gap? So for bridging that gap, the corporates came into being, the NGOs came into being. So they started being on the ground, they started funding, they started raising funds, they started getting involved in a lot of activities to bridge the gap, right? We are going to talk about a lot of gaps also, on what are the areas we are looking at the gaps. However, at for now, we'll just discuss and close at this moment, right? So now, what is ISR for me? Should I wait for the government to do all the job? Should I wait for all the corporates to do all the job? Or should I just wait for NGOs and the relevant people to do the job in bridging the gap? So if you think that problem as a bigger goal and the solution as something which we are supposed to be providing, then is that fair enough if you're sitting at home, if you're doing our own stuff and not doing anything and cribbing about the government, cribbing about the organizations, telling that, oh, nothing is going to happen in this country, right? So uh, whatever we do, whatever government comes, nothing is going to change. We are going to remain the way we are, and we are going to be a developing country always. So this is the kind of thought which comes into our mind. But the question is, what are we doing to do? What are we doing so that some problem is addressed? It may not have to be the world changing problem which we need to solve. We can solve a very small problem also, right? And in this era, why do you think the ISR or the individual social responsibility is gaining a lot of importance? That's a question we may have to ask. So I can give one quick example on what really happened when I visited a college. So there's a college called the university called Christ University in Bangalore. So when I was a temporary faculty there, when I was talking to the kids and I was planning to conduct some extra classes, so some kids on Saturday they came and they started telling that, sir, we will not be able to stretch for extra hours because we have other work. I was a little curious. Okay, these are all small kids like you. So, what other work will they have? So, is it the coaching, or is it they're preparing for some kind of examination, or they are pursuing some other interest, maybe arts or sports? So, I was wanting to know what it is, right? So, then when I asked this question, what are you up to, and what is that which is keeping you so busy every Saturday? Because whenever I ask you, the same answer comes, and I want to know, right? So, that's when I get to know that a lot of students are being participating in a lot of social activities. So either they are volunteering or either they are pursuing something on a full time basis, but only on the weekends, right? But they are trying to address a lot of problems there. And when I asked, why do you do this? Right. So that I was curious because I started realizing it little later in my life once I started my career. But these are the kids who are still studying and they still wanted to do something. And I was really curious and I asked this question again. So what makes you get into this activity, or what makes you to pushes you to be in these activities every week, right, without fail? So then I get to hear one simple thing from many of them, that, sir, it gives us happiness. So I was not able to visualize that at that point of time because my involvement also was quite less at that point of time. So I couldn't visualize what is that happiness they are talking about. But little later, after a few years only, till now, I have been enjoying that privilege of understanding what is happiness in that area, right? So, however, when I asked and I wanted to know little more about that, so they said, one girl came and said, sir, it's all karma, sir, because whatever we do now, that is what we are going to get. So it's like a boomerang. You do good, you do bad, whatever you do, that is what we are going to get in the future, right? So we have to be very careful about our actions, is what she said. And she also in a very jovial way, she said, sir, I don't know whether there are narak or swarg, I don't know whether it is there or not, but I'm very sure that all these things we can experience in this life itself. And that's the reason, if we do good, we will do get good. If we do bad, we will get bad only. So that's what she says. And when I was a little shocked, such a small girl, and she's able to think in that direction of karma, and we have to do good, we have to identify the problem, and we have to solve the problem. So I was thinking, so what do I do, what have I done other than being helping some kids in the schools every weekend, and maybe getting into some of the NSS activities only limited to my college life? What have I done? Am I doing anything to the society at all or not? So when I compared to these kids, I started feeling that, okay, I'm doing nothing. Right? I'm doing nothing. Maybe I'm traveling about 80 kilometers. There were years wherein I used to travel about 80 kilometers with my friend to a place. It's a village, and we were addressing some of the issues there, the public speaking, and they had stage fright, and also we were trying to address that for the smaller kids. Now, when we were doing that, and when I compare my work with these kids, I couldn't believe myself. They are doing a far better job than what I was doing as a working professional, right? So then I started, we don't know what we can do until we try, right? So that's the reason I also started thinking in a direction that I should do something at least for few years full time, right? So that's when I got into this fellowship from Teach for India, and this is my second year. Till the next April I'll be working with them, and I'm working in a slum in a Bangalore setup there, and it's a small school. I'm going to talk about the school also. You'll be surprised on what is the kind of atmosphere we live in, and of course we are not living in now because of the pandemic, and we are not supposed to be going there. Otherwise, what is the kind of condition we have been working, and you'll understand what is that you can make a difference there, right? So quickly, I'm going to share something which is very interesting for all of you to know. Just give a moment. I'll pause here for 30 seconds. Just look at all the words, which are the words which are highlighted. So this word cloud has been taken from the areas where you can really contribute. As an individual, you can really contribute, because these are the areas wherein a lot of trouble is there, a lot of issues are there. The gap is really high. Whatever government does and whatever the reachability, what we talk about, so there's a huge gap. And to bridge, so these are the bricks we are going to use, right? Now, the question is, which is the brick you are going to pick, right? So, we talked about karma, we talked about the interest, and we also talked about how happy a person could be because of doing some activity like this. Now, you should think which is the brick you want to pick, and I'm going to show you some statistics, right? So it's not really statistics, it's some mere numbers, and you'll be surprised to see how many people or how many NGOs are functional in a particular sector, and you'll also know how many sectors are there, or how many NGOs are active in each sectors, right? And again, this number is not full. This number could be only up to 50% of the real number, right? So beware about that. So look at the numbers, and I'm going to go to the slide there. Just look at this slide, and you'll be surprised to see that about 16,000 or close to 17,000 registered NGOs were registered with the government, enrolled with the government. So they are active, just working in the animal husbandry or dairying related activities, right? They might be saving some animals, they might be addressing the malnutrition issues there, or it could be anything. And for your quick reference, I'm going to just highlight the highest number of NGOs which are present in a particular sector only in this page, okay, only in this page, right? Just look at the agriculture. That means the agricultural issues are really high. So many NGOs, more than 24,000 NGOs are active only in the agricultural field, right? Now look at the environment and forest. So again, close to 27,000 NGOs are active there. And health and family, close to 40,000. Children and education together, it's almost a lakh. In fact, there are more than 1 lakh NGOs who are working solely for the education and development of children. Of course, there is something which is relevant there, which is the women empowerment, right? So many are there. And of course, you might have heard about a lot of human rights activists and human rights NGOs which are active in India. And I would like to close the session with some mentioning about human rights as well, right? So we'll quickly move on to the next slide. And this is not just it. So we have just looked at about 20 NGOs now, or 20 sectors now. Now we are going to look at little more. So hold your breath. Guys, just look at this, right? So another 20 or 22 NGOs, the sectors which are really active there. And if you have to quickly look at the highest numbers, so here it is. Women development and empowerment has more than 34,000. NGOs working towards that. And to address only the poverty and rural development, we have close to 25, 26,000 NGOs. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is not the final number, right? So these are just the number which I could find through some of the government agencies. So if you really look at the real numbers, which are far, far, far higher. So when it comes to rural development, minimum we have more than 40,000 NGOs active there. When we talk about women development, then minimum 50,000 NGOs are active in India, right? You might be also you might be aware that how many NGOs are in India, right? So we have more than 33 lakhs NGOs registered, 33 lakhs NGOs functional in India. And if you don't know, when the previous government, the NDA government came into being, they had a kind of crackdown, and they had closed more than 50,000 NGOs, more than 50,000 NGOs who were active in the anti-national activities. So that also is possible in the NGO. So we are going to little mention about that also in the coming discussions, right? Quickly now we'll move on to something wherein which is going to be quite interesting for you. However, that may not make a lot of difference for you in the virtual world. So let's look at the number of NGOs which are active in each state. So we're going to take about 2 to 3 minutes just looking at that. Oh, before that, just look at this number, right? So the prisoners, the number 29, the prisoners issues, we have about 3,653 NGOs which are active. And all in all, if you look at how many prisoners are there in India, it's about close to 5 lakhs. Now, if you calculate the average, right? So for every 131 people, one NGO is active. So I'm not saying that everybody is getting to enjoy the provisions or facilities of these NGOs, or everybody will be benefiting from this. That may not be possible. However, just look at that, right? If 3,000 plus NGOs are there to address about 5 lakhs people, their issues and sorrows there, you can imagine. And also, you may not be aware, there are a lot of NGOs who are striving to reduce the number of prisoners in the facilities, because the kind of facilities what India has, if I say 100 jails are there, 100, the capacity of the jail is about 100 people, but earlier it was more than 132. 132 people were there in the capacity of 100, but now because of all these activities, now it has been reduced to 118. So the real capacity is 100, however we still have 100, 118 prisoners. Now you can imagine, right, the kind of activities what they get involved in, and what how they are going to help, the hygiene, then the guidance. So it could be anything or any area. So they will cater to the real needs or the real gaps there, right? So quickly we will move on to a slide wherein we are going to look at some numbers of how many NGOs are there in each and every state. I'm sure by looking at this number, you know, okay, this is not it, right? So we don't have just 20 states in India, we have much more than that. And we have union territories also. So quickly look at this number, and in this page, you will be able to see that there are about three states which are leading. So Gujarat, Karnataka, and Delhi. Delhi being a union territory and such a small place, if you compare it to any other states, just look at that. So they have about 8,000 NGOs. So now the question is, why are we even talking about NGOs? Right? Why are we even talking about NGOs and we are not talking about anything else? Now, when I say NGO, don't take it the word meaning or the NGO per se, right? So you have to take it in the way of how many sectors are there and how many organizations are working towards addressing the issues what they have selected, right? The issues could be what we just saw in the previous discussion. So in the similar way, what are the areas which are available wherein we need people like you, like your professors, like me, like my parents, or like anybody else, right? So any contribution is required. So that's the reason we are just looking at all these things, so that you know the opportunities are not in meager, opportunities are in plenty, more than enough, right? Now look at this, the second set of list of the states where it's really highest. Look at Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, right? So Uttar Pradesh, I'm sure it has to be highest because more than 23 crores of population, which is bigger than a lot of countries. If Uttar Pradesh is declared as a country, I guess that will be the sixth or seventh biggest country in the entire world. So it is such a big state. So having about 14,000 or 15,000 NGOs active, so it is not a big deal. But look at Maharashtra. And have you also observed wherever the cities are there, cities or the financial capitals are existent in such cities or such states, the number of NGOs are really more, because a lot of people come into the cities with their own dreams. Now we all know that most of you are in Mumbai, and Mumbai is called as the city of dreams, right? A lot of people every day, there are people who are traveling to Mumbai in anticipation of making their life there, in anticipation of meeting their dreams or making their dreams come true. So when that being the case, a lot of people, they come to city. Will they be able to cope with the kind of cost of living which is there in the cities? Now, for example, for the salary what I'm getting in a place like Bangalore, with the same salary, if I have to come and live in Mumbai, then I'll not be able to have the luxury what I have in Bangalore. Now, currently, I'm not in Bangalore. I'm in my native, which is called as Mangalore, right? So it's a place called Mangalore. Now, the salary what I get in a Mumbai, a city like Mumbai, and if I get the salary and if I'm allowed to work in a place like this, I can live like a king compared to what was my life earlier, because the issues are far more in the cities than in the in the villages, right? Because in the cities, the demography, or what we call the population per kilometer or per mile is really, really high. It is not so in villages. And does that mean that the villages are l- far from any problems? No, they have more problems. And there are NGOs which are working in the rural development also, and there are people who are based out of a place like a city like a Mumbai or a Bangalore or a Chennai or a Delhi, but their work majorly will be in the rural sector. So that is also true, right? So let's quickly look at something which might be of interest for you, right? So because I'm in the education sector, so I would like to little talk about the education also. Now, what is happening in India when it comes to education? So you might be curious, right? But you might also think that what is happening, so we're all there in the college, we're all studying, so what's the big deal about it? So there's no issue in the education. So such thoughts, it's quite natural to come. However, if you really look at the education system in India, firstly, the education system what we are following currently or from the last century, it is not the Indian style of education, right? It is not the Indian style of education. It is the imported style, maybe from UK or somewhere. However, the funny thing is, such countries who have actually forced India to adopt a particular education system, they are not following the same system. They have been changing. They started getting back and they started thinking about, oh, in India, there is something called as Gurukul, and that system was really rich, and we should also try exploring what it is. In fact, the other countries are more and more exploring about such a system and not us. So it's a question to keep in your mind, and also keep in your mind that that is a possibility for you, right? If somebody is interested in the education sector, you have huge opportunity to solve a problem, and you have a huge opportunity for your career also, right? Now, let's talk about some more numbers like we just did. So let's look at this. Okay, I'm just taking one example. So this was an article which was published somewhere in February of this year in Times of India. So it says about 15 lakh schools are there in India, whereas China, being the biggest country, biggest highly populous country, they have only 5 lakh schools, right? So now when we have so many schools also, still the education system is not good is what people say, and the China's education system is good is what people claim. We don't know, we have explored it a little bit, right? So we'll quickly look at some of the concerns what we face in the education sector almost every day. So when I was reading this, I could really mirror and look at what we are facing and what is there in the article. So there were a lot of facts which were resembling, right? So the first thing is, close to 100 percentage, not 100 percentage, but almost 97 percentage of the kids join the school, that is initially. That means 3 percentage is still missing out. So that itself is an alarming number. It might be lesser than so many other countries, but it is an alarming number. That means even today in the 21st century also there are people who are not getting the sense of education, or they are not getting the opportunity of education at all. So what could be the reason? Now this is how you start thinking, right? So when you start thinking about a problem, now that itself is not a problem in itself. The problem is something else. Now so many people or so many kids, if they are not coming into schools, then what could be the reason? The reason could be they may not have parents, or they may be poor, they may not have money to join, or they may not have the guidance, they may not have an opportunity in the place where they are living, they may have to travel a lot, right? For traveling itself it will cost so much, and how will we be able to join a school? Or it could be any other issues, like maybe the abusive or the alcoholic parents, wherein they have alcohol every day and beat the kids, and they don't want any money to be diverted to the education, but for their habits, right? So such things could be a concern. Now imagine this 3% we just spoke about that, and we started exploring what are the areas which could be relevant. You could see more than 3 to 4 areas which are relevant, which is a reality, right? Even in my class there's a kid who if he comes for about 10-15 days in this month, so there's no guarantee that after that he'll come for another week, because a lot of times his father will beat him after drinking, and this kid will be in little trauma, and we have to convince a lot, we have to talk to the mother, we have to inform the community leader, and we need to even take the support of the people who are in the community to get that kid here. Now, a brilliant kid of about 7-8 years, he has become lesser than his grade level knowledgeable when it comes to the very basics of understanding of some of the text. So his knowledge is down by at least 2 grades now with this abuse. He was a very active kid, but this is what we are seeing, right? So that is an opportunity for us to help a kid like this, right? Now look at the second one. Though we have close to 97% of the people who are enrolling into schools, only 30% are reaching +1 and +2, right? So that means more than 70% of the people are stopping their education at the level of high school, right? Secondary and high school. So there is something which is again alarming, right? So they know little literacy, they can write, they can read, maybe in most of the cases they can just sign, nothing else, right? They can just sign. But if there is a application which you give it to them, they'll not be able to read that. A best example is I don't know how many of you have gone to the post offices. So it happened to me very recently. It happened to me. I had to go to a post office, and when I was there, I had a query, and which will take not more than 7 to 8 minutes to be solved. There was some issue in the account what we have opened there. However, when I entered there, and by the time I came back, it was more than 1 hour. Not because the post office guys were making me wait there, but a lot of people, they didn't know how to fill the application. This is the same case with any banks also. You go to any rural area, go to the bank, you have a pen, they get to know that you can read, you can write, they will come to you without any doubt, with all the trust, thinking that you will help them. So that is the kind of situation we are living, right? So you can think, so 30% is the number for completing just 12. And if I really look at the number of maybe the graduates and post graduation, it is not more than, or it will be around a single digit, right? It will be around a single digit. So I am a post graduation, so I really feel privileged by looking at this number. But is it just that I feel privileged? I feel happy. Oh, I'm having a very nice life, and let me enjoy my life. No, there's something else we can also do, right? So that is not just happiness, right? So I would like to quote one story which is not in the media. However, one doctor was mentioning in when he was addressing the public. So you all know one rich man who is in US, and his software is what we use in most of our computers. So that is one of his businesses, and the other major business what he is into is the medicines, right? A lot of pharma medicines, pharmaceutical industry. So he is the pioneer in the entire world. So he makes a lot of money there as well. But this is what really happened. It could be funny, or it could be like, the act of God, I would say. So though he is the owner of so many pharmaceutical companies, he had a problem wherein he is not able to solve that health issue with any of the companies what he owns. Right, he started losing his weight. Whatever people did, nothing happened. And somewhere somebody said that, anyways, you believe in Indian system, why don't you start giving away something, because you have been making money, but how much of it you have spent really for the other people. Right, so that's where he started thinking about in that direction, just because he believed in the Indian system in some of the areas. So he started giving away. He had an organized charity organization, and he started giving it away. Now when he started doing that, and in the verge of that, he started becoming happy, and more than anything else, unknowingly his problem of losing the weight and other skin issues, it vanished. So it could be coincidence, or it could be there's something which is really powerful, which we are not aware. Right, so we don't know where we are going to head when we do some good things. But at the end of the day, we are the people who are going to sleep peacefully, at least that is guaranteed. Right, so now let's look at a little more number. So now, grade level text, right? So we also have this issue. I used to teach the third standard, now the fourth standard. So I have about 18 kids. Out of that, around 3 kids were able to read the grade level text. Now if I give any textbook of that grade, third grade, they were able to read most of the words. I would say more than 80% of the words they were able to read. Right, but there are other kids who are not even able to utter or identify a single word. That's the situation. That's a gap which is there in the slum setup also. Right. So now, if this is the number you're seeing, about 50% of grade 5 children cannot read a grade 2 text. Is it not concerning? And this continues, this gap continues when these kids reach high school, because we have some rules, or we have some kind of mandate that we will not be able to retain kids. Right, again, it is not so good for retaining such a small kid, and the trauma which they get into retaining, and again, it's going to be a bigger trouble. Right, so when they reach high school, they will not be able to read a text of their primary also. So that is a real concern there. Right, now, the biggest concern is the teachers, the competency of the teachers. Now imagine, now I wouldn't blame the teachers, I wouldn't blame the school, I would just blame the situation. That's it. Because if teachers are not competent enough, 70 percentage don't know grade level competencies, is what this research says. If they are not aware, then there should be something wrong. Right, is it them, or the school where they attended, or the system, the corrupt system who have recruited them? I don't know. So I'm just telling some possibilities. In a slum kind of setup, if there is a school, they charge hardly any money as fee. When they charge hardly any money as fee, they have to pay the salaries of the teachers also. Now when they are only not making any money, or anything is not left with them, so how much will they be able to pay to the teachers? That is where, when the money is there, they will be able to give more and more quality education. Unless we have somebody like you or me, not even me, because you're all young, you will be able to make a lot of more difference in your life, and in the lives of a lot of kids also will be able to do that. But just imagine, the school is not making any money, so that's why they are not able to hire any good teachers. So they may have to hire under under qualified teachers. Now this is also alarming, right? Underqualified teachers teaching somebody. For example, I'm into the management and commerce line, and if I pick up the textbook of science and maths of maybe SSLC, and I start SSLC is 10th, so and start teaching them, or I pick up a course maybe 11th, the first PUC, and start teaching science, that might be disastrous if I don't have the competency to do that. Right, so I might be creating a lot of gap again. Right, because a lot of miscommunication, and whatever knowledge they're supposed to get, whatever skills they're supposed to get, they may not have it. Now, all in all, I would like to just mention about the word competency also. Right, so what is a competency? Even for all of you to attend this session, you need some competency. It could be the skill, or it could be the knowledge, or it could be your ability to do something, right? If you're able to read, so it requires knowledge, it requires skills, and it requires some kind of ability. So that those three things bundled with becomes competency. Now if the teachers are not competent enough, then the disaster is going to continue all the time. Now quickly look at this. Please bear with me because the education is something which I have been working into, and a lot of my family members are also there in the education sector. So this is something which I always feel, and I'm sure you will also be able to reflect that if you solve the education system, we'll be able to create more and more capable human beings, right? So it is not just when I say education, many people think that if I know how to read and write, I am an educated person. No, you're just a literate. If you know how to read and write, you are just a literate, you're not an educated person. Educated person may not have to be literate also at times. We have so many jnanis who may not be even literates, but they are quite educated. Whatever they learn, they know how to analyze the situations, they know how to implement or solve a problem when the real crisis hits them. So that is education. What you study or what you know from the books is not education at all. Education is when you know how to implement what you have learned. That is education. So for that, you may not have to be even a literate, right? However, the target is India has to be number one. If India has to be number one, then we have to do something about it. Now let's look at the other issues, right? The faulty administrative structure, wherein the entire system of hiring the teachers or the rule making, the policy making, everything is corrupt, right? The solutions are also given. However, who is going to do that? We know that this is going to be the solution. However, who is going to implement it the way it is? Now, if the government, any government for that matter, whoever comes into the power, whenever they get into some kind of implementation, of course, there are people who will be troubled with any kind of decision, and there are people who will be the beneficiary for any kind of decision. So when that being there, who is going to communicate? Now when I say communicate, that also is an area, right? A lot of organizations are there existing, and a lot of government agencies are also working towards addressing some problems, but the communication becomes a problem. I can give you a lot of examples only about our own school, right? So when we had the pandemic, they didn't know what to do. So it all started with the lockdown, right? So till then we were not so bothered. At first there was an announcement that the LKG, the KG till grade 2 classes have to be suspended from immediate effect. So from that day we sent everybody. Then after that, within the next 2 to 3 days, we get to know that okay, third to fifth standard again need to be suspended. So I was teaching third standard. So it is just that we had to come to the school and start preparing. We don't know whenever it can open, maybe after a week or we never know that this is going to be so prolonged, right? So then an announcement came, the entire school has to be shut. Then we are at home for almost a week's time, and then we hear the entire nation's lockdown. Now what is lockdown for us? We started thinking from this direction, what is this lockdown? So am I getting my salary? Yes, I'm getting my salary. Am I able to handle all the grocery and other required things? Yes, I'll be able to handle, because I'm in a city. If I give a call, I might get the delivery also. But that was not true. The delivery was not there. But of course, there were other options available. The time limit was there, so we had to go to the shops, purchase groceries, vegetables, whatever we need, and come back. Now start thinking from the perspective of the learning. So what am I doing? Because now lockdown, complete lockdown, kids are at their house. I'm at my house. So what is going to happen? We are not even had a examination for the kids. We made them learn so many things in the year, but we are not able to really diagnose whether they are able to, did they really learn or not. So the final edge we couldn't even check. Now when that being the case, we started thinking about, oh, what is going to happen to their education? Then wait, education is secondary now, because there's something else which is coming into our mind. So this is what really happened at that moment, right? So when we were talking with the community leader and all other my colleagues, so we started thinking that what is lockdown for our kids and their families. When I say my kids, these are my students, right? So what is that going to be for my kids and their families? If there is lockdown means because these are all daily wage earners. There's no job for them. If there's no job means there's no money which is coming into their pocket. If there is no money means once the reserve grocery, if at all there is finished, there's nothing left at their house and they will start starving. You know, right? Starving is the biggest enemy for anybody. We can tolerate anything but not starving, right? So when I was talking to one of the community leaders, he always says this, right? So in a very humble way, Manthan, we should really feed whoever is hungry. When we get to know that somebody is hungry, we must feed them, because who knows, just for a meal I might be killed one day. It is so true, right? A lot of people are getting into theft or robbery or any other unnecessary activities just because they don't know what to do. They need money, right? So it is not always the lavish lifestyle what they're anticipating. They want to just be existent, right? So such people, for example, the community where we live in, you name any crime, we have such people in our community. However, they also live with us. They also live with us. They send their kids to the schools, and they are also a little bothered about, some of them, not everybody. They are also bothered about the education of their kids, and they are also trying to do whatever it takes for them to do so that their kids attain some level of education and get into some good jobs, right? Now the question, big question is, if we all have to come together and solve this problem, how are we going to do that? Because I'm sitting at my house. Now I'm sitting in my car. So you are sitting in your place. So how are we going to address that? Now that is where the new age situation, right? So wherever we are, we'll be able to solve any problem. Now a simple example is when I was talking about the lockdown situation and what happened, my kids will be starving. So we started exploring options on who could be the donors. Even we had to be the donors initially, and of course our community leader, he is like the god for the entire community there. So his name is Venkatraman. So he runs an NGO, and he ensured that in this pandemic alone, the general budget for the entire year used to be about a crore in the community. But just in this pandemic, he ensured that more than 5 crores rupees has been raised and spent, raised and spent, just within about 5 to 6 months, right? And it is still going on, but at least now people are having their job, and they are able to manage their expenses, groceries, everything. So everything is fine. So you can imagine. So when we came together, we started exploring the ways, how do we address the issue of the hunger now. So we started raising funds so that we can purchase groceries, and we had to get the passes also from the government. So the worst thing which happened to me at that point was I did not get a pass. We tried a lot, but even I could not get a pass, and not even a single faculty member in our school could get a pass. So that was even troublesome. So we had to seek the help of the corporates. The best example is Feed India, is an NGO, and of course the Oracle CSR team. They were on the ground in our community. It was almost like they adopted our community for those many days. So from day one, we started distributing groceries there, and then we started giving them vegetables. We were able to manage the milk also in the later part, and biscuits also. And there were cases wherein the Horlicks bottles were given to them, right? So there were a lot of things which were happening at the same time. There was somebody who came. They offered the cooked food every day, the hot meals, right? So one packet contained food which is enough for almost four adults, right? Four adults. It is almost like if I give one packet to one family, that family for that time their food is taken care. So this is how it started. So of course, when I say if I give, I was not even giving anything to them, right? So we were just managing who should get what, because we were doing continuous surveys through normal interactions, because the interactions also have to be really careful, wherein we shouldn't be creating a kind of inferiority among the parents mind. So we were just trying to understand where they are standing, what are their issues, and we were trying to address that, right? So all in all, as a team, we were able to address some issues, and we ensure that at least in our community, with the help of the community leader and the corporates and the NGOs, we ensured that not even a single family in our community of more than 2,000 people, they starved even at the time of pandemic. complete lockdown, and no money they had in their pocket. Still, they were having food, enough groceries for the next 10 days to 15 days. That was ensured, right? Now, the big question is, how can we do this? Now, in fact, I have already answered a bit of that because I was sitting at home and I was able to support them. My colleagues were sitting at their house and they were able to support the entire team there. So that means virtually things are possible with the new age devices, the internet connectivity, and if you have any gadgets, maybe a laptop, a tab, you will be able to do that, right? Now, let's look at what we can do to start with. So this is going to be a little repetition for the people who have already attended my session earlier. Start from preserving. Now, preserving can be anything, right? So people say that even the charity should start from home. When we talk about cleanliness, it should start from home. Unless we do that, we are not going to guide and grow our kids who are going to be more sensible, right? If they have to be sensible, we should start, because whatever we do, our kids will follow. Now imagine if I have the habit of using mobile all the time, right? I'm addicted to the mobile. If this is the case, and when my kid is growing, and if my kid looks at me always on the phone, then the kid starts imitating me. Whatever I do, I cannot make the kid read books. If the kid has to read the book, then I should have a book in my hand always. That is how the kid will also start understanding. So basically, if you have to create an environment which is really doing something for the society, then first let's be, right? Once we are, then we will be able to save anything and save anybody. Now, quickly look at a simple electricity saving at home. It could be the garbage disposal, right? Or it could be even the water saving the water. It could be anything. Or when you're in the traffic, switching off your vehicle, or it could be anything, right? So you start from preserving and start understanding and get attached to that. When you get attached to that, research more and more, you will be amazed to see what is your contribution. A quick example I would like to tell you. uh, in Bangalore, I don't know whether it is there in Mumbai or not. In Bangalore, there's a company which came into existence, which was like Ola and Uber only. So now, what these guys did was they were not charging any money. However, they were facilitating to check. Now, imagine if I am going from one place, maybe Borivali to maybe Ghatkopar. If I'm going to that way, I know it is little far. If I'm traveling every day from that place through a vehicle, now if I'm using my car, I can put that in my in this app, and anybody else who is going in the same route, they can also select. And what they can do is, instead of taking their vehicle or any other means, they can get into my car, and we all together can carpool and we can reach the destinations. Now for that, the person can pay me also, right? So instead of paying about 100 rupees for a particular medium of transport there, he can end up paying me about 30 rupees. Now earlier I was going alone, now I'm getting at least 30 rupees, so that itself is a benefit. Now it's like a win-win situation for everybody. More than anything else, not just among the people who are traveling in the car, it is actually a win-win situation for the entire society, because the carbon emitted from our vehicles will reduce. Now, just imagine it. So, some of these ideas are so nice and it can happen. What these guys did was they connected with a lot of corporates, all the tech parks, and ensured that all the companies had a kiosk, a setup wherein they used to provide the information. So, install this app, you can carpool, or you can even take people in the two wheeler. So, such a atmosphere, of course, with a lot of proper verification, it happens so that the safety is kept in mind. Now, that is also preserving. So when a person in my colleagues in my friend circle, there's a man who started using this. Earlier he used to come alone in his vehicle, and then he only contacted a lot of people in the company, and we anyways, they were all friends, and they decided, okay, we are all coming from the same road, right? So why don't we start doing this? Everybody will be benefited. So one person had a six seater car, right? So six seater, he had a SUV. Now everybody started coming in that. So instead of five additional vehicles, it could be two wheeler or four wheeler. They just they were of course they had to sacrifice a little bit of their time and their energy, the coordination, everything, till it became a habit. And then they were actually able to come almost every day to the office little early and go from office little late. However, instead of six vehicles, now only one vehicle is ferrying. Now that's a good news, right? So that is something which is called as preserving. We can start from anywhere. You think of any area, there is something which you can do, and be a volunteer wherever it is possible. Now the entire discussion where we are heading, it's all into that only, right? So we are getting into volunteering. So select a cause and get into the volunteering. Select the cause. You have to select the cause in such a way that it has to make you happy. It has to make you happy, and it has to really solve a particular problem, right? Then contribute. So unless we contribute in any way, it could be money, you can donate some money, or you can contribute with resources, you can contribute with skills, whatever skills you have. Maybe designing a particular advertisement of making people aware about this scheme is available. It's a good contribution, right? And join a cause. The cause has to be strong, bigger, and addressing the real problem, which is going to make a lot of difference to the country at large and the youths at large, right? And together, I'm very sure that we can make a difference there, right? Make a difference. Once you engage yourself in a particular cause for more than 2 3 years, right, continuous effort, then you would have already made a lot of difference in the lives of so many people, and so many smiling people, right? Now when I say make a difference, now if I make it like a shorter form, MAD, make a difference, mad, right? So there is an organization called mad also, right? Make a difference. So you can explore that, you can note it down in your notebooks, and you can explore that once the session is done, right? Now the big question is, can I do it virtually, right? So this is almost the end of the session. So can I do it virtually is the question. Now can you do it virtually? I'm sure if we are having a session like this, if you're able to listen to me for such a long duration, then of course you'll be able to do that, because it is not necessary that you will have to be glued to the computer the entire day. Specific hours will be more than enough. You can do it virtually. So that's what is the judgment here, right? And what is required? It is just this, and an internet connection, and a heart to make difference. This is very much required, right? So if you don't have a heart to make a difference, and if you're just trying to or striving to get those credits, okay, if I put in so many hours, I will end up getting that credit. No, if you do that, it is not going to give you any happiness, because this is like business. It is not a business we are talking about. It is being busy, but you're not in the business, right? So think about it. We can make a difference, but we should have the heart to make the difference, right? Getting it? Now quickly, these are just a few samples of thousands or lakhs of NGOs which are there. I'm just giving you some ideas on what you can do. And mind you, you're not supposed to contact. All the students are requested not to contact these NGOs directly. Instead, as I have mentioned, I'm going to share the entire presentation deck to the faculty members. Disha ma'am, I'll be sharing it with. So what you are supposed to do is you have to coordinate within your classes and select which is the area you want to work in. And once you select a cause or the sector where you want to really volunteer for, then communicate it back to your professors, and they will select which are the organizations which are providing or working in those sectors. And then they will contact on your behalf and get you the it could be internship or volunteership, whatever you call. So they'll get you that, and you will be able to work to address a problem, to make a difference, and to you will be all together, you will be working for a cause, right? Now Everest is one wherein they need the very easy volunteering is there, and the skill based volunteering will be there. Now when I say skill building, there could be some people who some organizations who might be requiring some kind of maybe website building or the awareness building. So it could be so many things, right? So in the same way, now child rights, if somebody is interested in child rights, you must get into this. But of course, as I mentioned, don't apply directly, because if the students from the same college are applying for a particular organization from different ways, the responses may vary. But as a whole, if the professor goes there and contacts them, or a contact person goes there and contacts them, telling that we have so many people who are interested in this area, then they'll respond in a quicker manner, right? So let's all pledge to do this. Don't contact them immediately. However, with this presentation, it will be, I'll request the faculty to distribute this or send this presentation to all of you so that it has a lot of links. Now, this image has a link, this image has a link, all these images have links, and all these things have links there. I have embedded everything, so it will make your life easy. You have to click there and you see what kind of work they do. Once you do your research for few hours, then you will know, okay, this is the area where I need to be working in, right? So few more samples. Just look at this, okay? Volunteer match, there's a website wherein we have so many resources. I mean, so many opportunities are available. The numbers are also mentioned there, the sector or the areas where they work, and where are the requirements and how many requirements are there. That shows the gap is really high, and we definitely need volunteers or youngsters like you to build the nation. So I'll quickly pause here for you to just look through this slide and the information which is put in there. Okay, you will have more time once you get the slides in your computer. Right. Now, you have to keep some things in mind, right? So you have to definitely keep some things in mind before you do anything. Any good thing also, you have to keep some things in mind, right? Now, first thing is join the right cause where the need is really high and how it is impacting the nation. If it is not there, then join such causes, right? Education, childcare, women empowerment, then poverty, environment. So these are the areas which are really, really needing a lot of people working for them, right? So please really, really look at the cause, join the right cause. So for this, little extra time is required for all of you, and I'm telling you, it is going to be worth. If nothing, you will end up learning something new, right? The second one is select an activity which contributes to nation building always. So when I say this, it has a message also. Do not, I'm repeating, do not join any controversial NGOs. I can give an example. I don't want to take the name because if I take the name, maybe because I'm an individual, I might be sued also, right? There's an organization which works for the upliftment or rehabilitation of the animals, the street animals or cattle, or it could be anything. It could be cat, dog, it could be duck also, it could be the cow, buffalo, whatever, you name any animal, they rescue them, right? So now what happens here is they rescue them, they have huge money, the funding is really strong, and you might be surprised, right? So why I'm talking about such an organization. Now imagine if they are into the animal rehabilitation. So if any animal is really struggling, a dog is struggling, they have to take it and they have to ensure that that animal comes back to the normal living, right? Healthy living. If it has any diseases, that will be removed. If it has any wound, that will be taken care. If it is malnutrition, that can also be taken care. All these things are done, but this organization is not into that. You search in your you ask your god Google and you'll be able to get all the details, right? Or offline you contact me and I'll be able to tell you the names also, right? So what they do is, in the name of rescue and some kind of hidden operation, they will rescue a lot of animals, they take it to their yard, and you will be shocked to know that 90 percentage of such animals will be killed in the name of mercy killing. 90 percentage, right? It is more than alarming, right? In 1 year, one particular location in somewhere in US or somewhere, they have killed close to 20,000 animals in 1 year. Just see the average, right? 20,000 divided by 365, how many animals are killed every day on an average? This is insanity, right? So you should know which are the organizations which are really working for a cause and really making a difference. Join such cause. And also, you should also look at, now the political alignment is quite happening these days. Don't look at the political ideology, right? If you're looking at the political ideology and joining, you might end up in a mess. So instead, Look at the cause. I'm repeating, look at the cause, their work, their contribution, their history. Do they have any controversy or only the allegations? Do they have, don't they have any allegation but they have a lot of contribution? So you look at both the ways and then decide whether you should really get into that or not, right? So that you must keep in your mind because you are young, and I don't want you to break your heart once you join a cause and then you get to know that, okay, I landed in a mess, right? So please don't do that. So join the right cause, which is going to motivate you, which is going to help a lot of people, which is going to help you also to be happy and sleep peacefully, right? So together I'm sure we will be able to make a difference. Now, this is the end. We are almost at the end of the session. Now, I would like to even mention something which most of you might, or at least some of you might be interested. Now, in our school also we have a requirement of virtual teachers, right? Now, if somebody is interested in teaching, a minimum, I'm telling you, look at the number again, a minimum of 15 to 20 teachers I need to the school where I am working, a minimum of 15 to 20. So the maximum I don't know, right? Minimum of 15 to 20 students, students from your college, you can help our students because you're all in the graduation. You will be able to help the high school kids or the secondary kids. So when I say high school kids, it's just eighth and ninth, and of course seventh, secondary. When I mean it's only about sixth and seventh class. So we will be able to provide you the soft copies of the textbooks, and you'll be able to read. And there are other workarounds. So we are planning something. So if you're interested, please let us know. That is one thing we will be looking from your college. The other thing is we're also planning to run a huge health campaign. We just had a thought. We haven't even started working towards that. Because of the pandemic, a lot of people had trouble in our community. However, because of a lot of trouble what the community leaders took and the communications what we made to our kids and our kids' parents, then the good news is not even a single kid, not even a single kid's family in our school got corona positive. So that's the achievement what we did in the recent past, though it is a glued community, right? So such a small place and so many people are living. If you cough, the germs might travel to the to your neighbor. So that is the kind of place they live in. However, nothing happened. We took care, just with the awareness. In fact, we didn't take care. We just helped them, or we created the awareness for them to be safe, right? Now, the second thing I actually wanted to leave a thought in your mind is, so we live in a place wherein the school, if I have to go to the next floor, right, it's a very small, in a classroom I don't, I cannot park more than the space. You can imagine the space. I cannot park more than two auto rickshaws in a classroom. So such a tiny classroom we work in. And sometimes it becomes so difficult because each floor has only one single toilet, which is used by all the girls, all the boys, teachers also, or visitors also. Now you can imagine what is going to happen. So almost for 40 people, only one toilet, one single toilet with one single door. So one person goes, the other person comes out. So this is how it is. You can imagine what is going to happen to the hygiene also, right, when it is not cleaned properly. So you can imagine that is the kind of condition where we live in. And also, if you to give an idea to you, the stairs are not more than 2 feet in wide, in the breadth, right? So it is so small. It is such a it is like a cave. Basically, it is like a cave. So in such a small place we live in, and we try addressing a lot of issues. And because of the pandemic, right, it is not in our school, a lot of other schools wherein a lot of kids are not studying anything. So if you're able to help us, then we are there. So we can also provide volunteership or ISR activity opportunity for all of you through an NGO. Of course, I have been talking about a particular person, right, Venkat Raman, who is the community leader here. Through him, I'll be able to provide that also. All right. Now, because this is the first time I'm handling a session here, I don't know how to take the questions. If you have any, if you have any questions, how do I take it? Shall I stop sharing and check the chat? Am I audible to the faculty members?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, if there are any questions, I can take. If you mention how should I take it, because this is the first time I'm handling this. Otherwise, if there are no questions, I'm done from my end. So I have already left my contact details there. If somebody is interested in, clearing any doubts, they can write to me also. So that also will be fine.
Yes, sir. Till now, there's no questions here. Okay,
Okay,
that's
great.
a really wonderful session that you have given up right now. So I'm
Thank you.
handing the session to Akasha, ma'am. So you be over here.
Done.
Hi, sir. Um, it's an honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of our college and the entire management committee here, I am very grateful to Manthan sir for sharing his grateful words with us today. I am very thankful to all the participants for coming here and attending this webinar. As he addressed about the virtual ways to ISR and happiness quotient which we get from doing so, and how many NGOs are active in India, gave us a broader perspective that we can do it virtually as well. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a build eye for detail. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by team of motivated and dedicated colleagues of college who knows their job and are result oriented. I would like to thank now our Chief Educational Officer, Dr. Mala Kharkar, our Honorable Principal, Dr. Shrikant Savan, and our Chief Coordinator, Ms. Ruchika Rane, for their constant support and guidance. Thank you. And I would ask Sir to just forward the feedback link on the chat so that you can fill the feedback form and proceed. Thank you.